Still is.
Oh, I know it's.
We call meeting to order. Roll call. Jill Menard.
Here.
Bruce Otto.
Michelle Otto.
Michelle Otto. Blake Johnson. Here. Liz Goodbody.
Here.
Craig Gibbons present. All present. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any open forums submitted? Hearing none. Let's look at approval of the consent agenda. The agenda. Let's approve the agenda. I have an addition on F, on 8F3, for the Carver Field refrigerator. And 8F4, the discussion of voting for the Parks and Rec Commission. I have number 10C, anonymous data request. C at the 29 June workshop meeting, and 11D, Personnel Committee time change. Any others?
Did we add council packets under new business? Where they are?
10D, council packets. Any other? A motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. I'll second.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0 to approve the agenda as amended. Consent agenda. For the May 18th special meeting minutes, paragraph 4, on page 7 of your packet, page 8, the top paragraph should read 29th of 2015. And paragraph 5 should read June 8th. I understand there was some confusion on that, so we'll address that later when we get to that one, when we talk about the submission of the objectives and goals. Any other changes to the consent agenda?
I have some questions on accounts payable.
Okay,
CGMC, Union Yeoman's Labor Seminar, $110.
that's the labor seminar that I went to on the 4th of June.
Okay. Usually in the past, that came up before council to get stuff approved like that.
It was approved. Yep.
Maybe?
Mhm.
Okay. And then, Ann Carlson, Hotel 29559, was that a class? A recent class that Anna went to?
Yeah, it was the works, what's it called, work school.
MCC.
Yeah, it's her 3-year school that she goes to the first thing.
Okay. The cleanup day, 1345, is that all we spent on for Sean, for the cleanup day? How else did that go?
That's just for the recycling.
Which one are you looking at?
Just the 1345 cleanup day.
SW distributing, I'm assuming that's what you're looking at.
Southwest SW Distributing.
Mhm.
That's just the recycling people, refrigerators, they'll, all,
Okay.
whatever they take.
Electronic.
Randy's, if you look under Randy's, it says cleanup day, that's the roll-off boxes for 1,500.
Yep, okay. And then do we have itemized for Upward members for 375250? And one last one, Wright County Human Services hepatitis vaccine. Do we normally just do flu shot? Or are we going to hepatitis now too?
All new employees that work in the wastewater plant go through hepatitis shots, a series of hepatitis shots. So this is for the last set of one of our employees.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. This, on May 4th, prepared for reading, contract negotiations, stuff, the union stuff that's starting for $300. Andy,
Is it under my initials or?
professional services, oh, that's Mike's. Okay.
Yeah, because I think at that time there was a union meeting somewhere around.
Okay. draft job descriptions was $487.50. Discussing the process of reconstruction with the attorney.
To my knowledge, that was, I don't think any original draft took a reviewing every job description that came out for the positions that were reformed, so. And comparing that to benchmarks and other cities that we work with to see if there's consistencies.
Good. Did you want to say that? Okay, a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
I vote aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
All in favor, by vote. Okay. Sheriff's Department.
Not much been going on, just a few noise complaints the last couple of weeks, that's about it.
Can you come on up here for 1 second? Is, Greg Bailey going to be really?
I don't have heard from
Me neither. Do you know best way to contact them?
I just emailed him.
I did a month ago.
Okay. Said I haven't talked to him since then.
Okay. Are you going to be here for the whole meeting for questions later?
As long as I don't get a call.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything else on the Red County Sheriff? Let's go through reports. City Council. Lloyd?
Just the regular council meetings and special council.
Melissa?
See, on last Monday, we had that annual review meeting. We have a few minor changes to make, and our action plan is going to be going before the committee, the state committee on the 24th. Commission also meeting after that, regular council meetings, and just quite a few of the school activities that have gone on, carnival, concerts, Boy Scouts. Thank you, yourself.
Jill?
I attended the Red View City Council meetings, the special meetings, the Montrose Days Committee meeting, and then the Park and Rec meeting last Tuesday.
Regular meeting, council meetings, community ed, and the same small stuff.
How did your visit to the Loretto Fire Department go? Did you and Lloyd visit Loretto Fire Department?
Are we supposed to?
No, that's what I heard that you did. You came back to the fire department.
None.
Is there a fire department guy here to verify that?
What's that?
Michelle and I are supposed to have gone to a Loretto Fire Department?
I have not heard anything.
We're going to give this information.
Fire department meeting.
I've heard from several people. I haven't talked to Loretto Fire myself or anything like that, so, but I did hear rumors go around. We don't know how rumors work. Boy or, what did he say, a male and a female, an elderly male and a female.
So then,
I'm not assuming anything.
so then your fire department, somebody from the fire department assumes it was me and
It came from a citizen, is where it came from. And it came back to me, so.
You should be able to have the citizen's name right, so we can correct it.
I wish I did, but I wanted to know about it because it was an issue that came up at the fire department meeting.
Can I ask what the issue would have been?
The issue was why we were going as a council to visit another fire department that operates completely different from the fire department here, and why was council doing that without giving a heads up? Normally, it would be given a heads up to the chief, you give a letter of introduction or a call of introduction. We can go over visiting the fire department if we want to, and they'd probably be much more helpful and provide us much more information. And they could also give us some information on fire departments that work the same way that ours does, not as an independent, but as a volunteer fire department.
Correct.
Thanks, Kevin.
Wait a minute, I just have one more question.
Yes.
If you had heard this rumor, could you have asked myself or Lloyd?
If I spoke to everybody where rumors come about, I would be constantly on the phone, constantly emailing people and everything. There's a lot of rumors that circulate. I have 30 individuals on the fire department and I wouldn't be able to keep up with it.
So if that's the
All right,
case,
thank
then
you.
why was this rumor brought up?
Because I wanted to find out what happened.
He attended
How
the
did you
meeting.
find
He
out?
I
attended the
attended the
meeting
fire
last week.
department meeting, and
So,
that's where it came up, so I wanted to talk with you about it.
so pick up the phone and call me. Thank you. We're good, thanks, Heather.
And I attended the council workshop, Montrose Waverly Chamber of Commerce, fire department meeting, VFW meeting, several scout meetings, the aviation camp parade at Buffalo Airport with the scouts, Memorial Day ceremony with VFW, presenting to 2 veterans there, Montrose Elementary School, the VFW Patriotic Essay and Art Contest Awards, 2 Eagle Scout projects that I participated in this last month. One was the VFW flagpole, where they put papers around that flagpole. That's a phase 1. Phase 2 will involve an enlargement of that path to it. And Memory Gardens, it's Caleb Gilson is doing that. The Montrose Buffalo Bike Path, 3 benches were installed on permanent concrete pads. That was Ty Heckenleibel's Eagle Scout project. I attended the Sunshare Training Conference and site visit at St. John's University with Wendy. And then also the Law Employee Relations Seminar in Austin, Minnesota, put on by the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities and Flaherty and Hood, who specialize in labor law. On the agenda is the mayor's report and findings. Came to my attention that an individual has been engaged in spreading false and destructive defamatory rumors about me and numerous members of the community. It started during the election last year. What's disturbing is that it's continued to spread those vicious lies long after I took office as mayor, even after he was advised by Sheriff Joe Hagerty and Robert Thielen of the Northern Star Council that the allegations were entirely false and untrue. I'm in possession of statements to recount those unlawful defamatory actions, and at my own expense, I've obtained a copy of my Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Activities full report of my background records, as well as a copy of the Wright County background records, which reflect no arrests, no charges, no criminal activity ever reported under my name. This further attests to the absurdity of these allegations. I have released this information to the public as a public document and can be requested from the city. Wendy has copies of those. I understand the need to engage in dirty politics, but the nature of this fabrication and the heinous nature of the charges, the allegation, goes beyond the pale. And it also is defamatory to the office I hold as mayor, and that's why I need to address it here. I have sent a registered letter to this individual as a cease and desist request, because under Minnesota law, it's illegal to provide false statement, whether written or oral, of an individual's character or reputation. And those slanderous marks are not only personally defamatory, but also bring unjust discredit upon the position that I hold as mayor. If they continue, I will seek all available legal remedies to hold the perpetrator personally and financially responsible for their acts of slander, and defamation of my reputation. And I have copies of my background information with me as well. That's all I have to say on that issue. And that's what you were questioning about. Planning and zoning.
Can I go back to that one just for a second? I understand that you felt that it was necessary to bring it up here, or I'm not sure why you felt it necessary. Rumors, as we clearly see, are not always accurate, so I think it should have been brought to the said individual, not here at a council meeting, because council meetings are for...
It also defames the office I hold. That's
I
why it
understand
came here.
that.
And I also discussed that with our legal team as to whether that was appropriate to bring it here. And they agreed it was, based on the fact that it's defamatory to the position I hold as mayor. Okay? And at my own expense, not at city expense, I obtained the documents that reflect this. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything further with that? Let's move to planning and zoning. The minutes, any changes or corrections to the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I believe the planning commission minutes were included as for your information as we will be acting on two items that were a part of those May 20th meeting minutes, but the planning commission will act on those at their next meeting on June 17th.
Absolutely, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, we have ordinance 2015-5, amending section 1018-4 of the zoning ordinance relating to the accessory buildings. Any discussion on that matter?
Would you like to
Go ahead and explain it.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, members of the council and public, tonight we have a request to amend the zoning ordinance in two different sections. This year, Minnesota administrative rules were amended. In the past, accessory buildings that were 120 square feet in size were exempt from receiving a building permit. The rules were changed, so now a building permit is exempt for buildings up to 200 square feet. So the Plan Commission conducted a public hearing at their May meeting in order to bring our zoning ordinance, section 1018-4, consistent with Minnesota rules and building code requirements. So we're simply modifying two statements, one noting detached accessory buildings not exceeding 200 square feet shall be allowed without the issuance of a building permit, but need to comply with other provisions of the ordinance. And then second, noting that detached structures 200 square feet and above shall require a building permit. And it was a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Any discussion on that one? I have a motion to approve 2015-05.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2015-05 to amend section 1018-4 of the zoning ordinance relating to building permits for accessory structures.
I'll second that.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Ordinance 2015-06, amending zoning ordinance relating to solar energy systems. I'm sure there'll be discussion on that. Joe, do you want to go ahead and start that off with us, so let's know why and how that started?
Sure, thank you.
Aye.
Joe.
Go by Adrian.
Get a little closer to the
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and public, tonight we are asking the City Council to consider a number of amendments to our zoning ordinance. All of these are related to the adoption of provisions for solar energy systems. And the Planning Commission began this discussion earlier this year in February and reviewed draft language that would allow for rooftop solar panels, ground-mounted solar panels, as well as community solar energy systems or solar farms. We reviewed solar energy ordinances from other communities, and also have a representative from a solar energy firm come and speak to the Planning Commission. Following that meeting, we had draft language that was prepared and conducted a public hearing in March. Based on the input received at that meeting, a number of revisions were made to the proposed language. And this past month, on May 20th, the Planning Commission reviewed the final language and prepared a recommendation for the City Council that's being considered tonight. This is quite lengthy, so I'll give a quick synopsis of the language that's included. First, roof or building mounted solar energy systems would be allowed in all districts as an accessory use. Ground-mounted solar energy systems would be allowed as an interim use. That means we could have a sunset date on it. It wouldn't travel with the property like a conditional use permit does. But that would be on all lots that are at least 1 acre in size. So small residential lots that are a quarter acre, half acre, it would not be permitted in, ground-mounted on 1 acre or larger. Community solar energy systems or solar farms would be allowed again as an interim use, again with a sunset date in 4 different districts. This would be our urban reserve, our light and our general industrial districts, as well as our institutional districts. And these solar farms range in size and they're becoming more prominent throughout the state of Minnesota and other communities as we look for alternative sources of energy. And then finally with that, we'd be looking at amending our accessory building and structure section code 1018, as well as some of our definitions to include terms that are typically associated with solar energy systems and farms. And within our zoning ordinance, we would then look at each district and identify whether or not it's an accessory use, an interim use, and the requirements that an individual would need to go through in order to have it approved on their property. The purpose of the ordinance is to, one, we were approached by a solar energy company that was looking at sites in the community as well as sites around the community and other community. We do not address this as a form of energy or a permitted use within our zoning ordinance at this time. And the Planning Commission felt that it would be proactive to look at a balanced approach to protecting public health and safety while looking at the benefits that solar energy can provide to the community. So with that, the language is included within your packet, along with a number of photos that illustrate what ground-mounted looks like versus a roof-mounted, as well as a solar energy farm. And we do have a couple of members from our Planning Commission present as well, if you would have any questions for them. So with that, it was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
I'd like to make a statement if I could, this time. Chair recognizes Cory. Right. I don't know if this is an open meeting or not, public hearing going on. No, but I think you might have some insight that would be helpful. My name is Cory Wood. I'm the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I just want to let you guys know that one of the reasons we took this up is because as a planning commission, as a city, we're tired of getting the business from large companies coming in here and telling us what to do. Instead, we decided to be proactive and we're going to tell companies what they can and can't do. This allows us some flexibility to at least start a negotiation with some of these people. We worked on this ordinance for upwards of 12 hours. We believe that the language in it is very restrictive there's not a lot of loopholes in it that we can find. It allows for the city of Montrose to engage in contracts for renewable, clean energy with minimal impact to surrounding areas and to the environment. This also allows for citizens of Montrose to involve themselves in clean, renewable energy that would allow them to save money on their own electricity. This is something we worked pretty hard on. I know it's your job to look at it, poke holes in it where it is, but we believe that we've given all we could to make this. Like I said, there was some very passionate discussion in our commission meetings. We did have a public hearing at our last meeting, which nobody attended. Yep. Which what I believe we gave to you now is a very good ordinance that will cover us for years to come. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, maybe to add on to this, for solar energy farms, again, it would be an interim use. So if an individual or a company came in and wanted to have a number of acres put into a solar energy farm that typically can last up to 20 years, it would require public hearing, notification of individuals within 350 feet. It would also be published in the newspaper. We have a decommissioning plan that is required and letter of credit. So after that time period, when sunset comes, they're required to have a plan on how they're going to remove those solar panels so it can be transitioned into the future best use of that property. And we have some financial obligation from them, so if they did not do it, the city would have the right to do so as well. So as Corey mentioned, we've tried to build in some protection for the community, allow that as an interim, but knowing that 100 years from now, there may be a better use for that site.
Things that were interesting when we went to the Sunshare seminar at St. John's University that I found interesting was one that solar tends to work better in cold climates than it does in hot climates because of the operating temperature of the solar receptors. Also, the step downs on that for the transformers, changed that through alternating current of about 51 decibels. And I was standing 6 feet away from it and barely heard it hum. The glare from that site was not appreciable at all. The other thing is that based on the Colorado things that Sunshare has done, they expect electric customers to gain a benefit about 10 to 20% less on their electric bill if their community is involved in a solar site. So those were some good things that I found out about that. And the maintenance issues that they had with that were that the prairie grass was a problem, so they're looking at doing a bee habitat with clover as opposed to that, so more environmentally friendly. And Sunshare was very positive on producing a bee habitat with clover as opposed to anything else, because that creates less maintenance for them and then a greater environmental plus for the system. Other discussion? Have a motion for 2015-06.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-06 to amend the zoning ordinance related to solar energy systems.
Second?
I'll second.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. And Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2015-13, authorizing publication of solar energy system zoning ordinance amendment. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, within the second paragraph, and for the audience's sake, statutes allow the city council, rather than publishing the entire ordinance in the newspaper, to publish just a summary of what the ordinance and its intent is. And in the second paragraph, I have the second line that by a majority vote of its members, you can authorize the summary publication. That should be a 4/5 vote, so if you can make that modification prior to acting on the resolution.
Discussion on posting a summary. When could we have that up on the website as well for review?
If you approve it tonight, you can go out on the website tomorrow. We'll make the change to the 4/5 vote
Yep.
to put it out tomorrow.
That would be an option, to be able to review it there and include that in the summary that is available for full review on the website. Okay. Amend that to read summary for publication.
You just need to amend it to say 4/5 vote in the second paragraph. That's the only amendment I need to do.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2015-13, authorizing summary publication of an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance relating to solar energy systems.
Second?
I'll second.
I vote aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Publish as a summary and put the balance of the ordinance on the website. Energy management, or excuse me, emergency management update. Matt?
Good evening.
Good evening, Matt.
A couple quick updates. Let's start out with Burlington Northern Santa Fe. I am now tied in with their system. Last year we went from knowing what they previously hauled through town to now I have an app with access, I can find at real time what is coming across these tracks. Say if there was an event that caused us to respond, I can see what that train was. Other information is they are upping the amount of train traffic in this town temporarily while up on Highway 10 there's some construction, so we are going to see upwards of seven trains a day more coming through this town. Not all patrolling, mixed trains, kind of like what we're doing right now. So with that, the emergency operation plan is not, what's the word I'm looking for? Hasn't been approved by county yet. I have a meeting with Steve Berg next week. He is going to get some time, shoot me a time in the evening, we can sit down to make sure our plan that I'm going along with these binders and the templates that if something would happen to happen, that we follow, make sure we're in line with the way he kind of runs the show. So if there was an issue that happened, it's a quick transition. We're all in the same line. Let's see here. Another thing that is up that we should, as a city, start talking about is another siren system out by the disc golf course. Currently, I will get this all kicked over to you guys in an email electronic. That disc golf course is not in range of any of the sirens we have here in town. And being an outdoor park and getting quite a bit of usage recently, I think it would be a good idea to get out there. Excel, I have been in contact with their emergency.
On that issue, can you work with Justin on that, as well as Sean, and work through that as well?
Most definitely. Excel, they're a little harder to get a hold of. Trying to set up a meeting with their emergency response gentlemen, just kind of seeing what services they can offer us at the time we may need them. I do know the response times aren't getting any quicker having them in town when we've used them on the fire departments. Not much luck getting a hold of them. Montrose Days is now registered with the National Weather Service on those days, so we will have real-time, up-to-date conditions of weather. If something's coming in, we will get an update before it even probably comes across the news. That's really all I have right now at this moment until next month. I can be here too after I sit down with Steve Berg and deal with it.
Let's move on the assignment and see where we're at, so we can go on that.
Perfect.
We need to make sure we really look at that coverage. We're deep in the summer season, and I want to make sure we're safe out there.
Do we have the training ready for the council members?
That, I was supposed to have that sent out Friday. We're going to do it the online base versus spending the money for the class. So I will get the hyperlink kicked over to all the council members, and then we can do the 700 and 100 online.
His name is trained already.
Is the 700 and the 100 the only two they need as council?
Correct.
Any other questions? Thank you. Wright County Transportation.
I went to the WCAT meeting for Lloyd, and we'll put in the council packet the financial reports that they handed out, and also the ridership reports that they handed out, showing how many rides where they originate from each city. So the first one is the total rides, the second one is the functional industries only line, and then the other rides, the virgin. So those are in there for you to look at. A couple of things they updated on, the new building that's being built in Buffalo.
This is being built.
Right.
Just started.
They were at the time, they were hoping that it was all going to be approved so that it could go through and be started. They were hoping that the construction would start by mid-July, they would have groundbreaking. At the time we met, which was on May 19th, they had received 11 of their new buses. They just were waiting to get them all into service because they were supposed to get like 3 at a time so they could get them equipped and ready to go, and they got 11 at one time, so they were still working on getting them on the road. They have 4 more to come. But they should get in service soon. They're looking for drivers, so if anybody wants to drive for Trailblazer, they're looking for drivers. And they have received a number of really good comments over the last few weeks, so they've been really pleased with working here in the county. I think that was about it.
I'm a little surprised that the number of rides are actually higher on that. So higher than I expected.
Do you have any idea what the denied rides were, or why?
Yeah. The denied ones are,
Actually, that's kind of a poor phrase to use on there, because a lot of denied ones are, people call, they don't want to call from Glenville, they'll call Buffalo to get it right.
they also are rides that, if they're not in the area, if they don't have available bus in the area and aren't able to get over here at the time they're looking for,
Sure.
and the rider can't change their time, then they have to deny it.
Okay.
So they're hoping with the more buses coming in that they won't have to.
Denied.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay, Parks and Rec. Appointment Park and Rec Staff Coordinator.
That was brought up due to the fact that Wendy is currently on Park and Rec, but it was asked to have somebody from the actual, who's out seeing the parks and all that kind of stuff, to be the liaison, so it was asked that we switch from Wendy to Sean. So that we get a more clear view as to how much Sean's out there more often, working in the parks, get better communication. So if we could switch Wendy and have Sean as the city rep.
Any discussion on that?
I have one thing to say. I don't mind that at all. That's one less meeting I have to go to, so that's just fine. However, talk about making phone calls, it would have been nice for Michelle to come and talk to me. This has been going around since like May 19th, I think.
I sent it.
When she sent an email to Sean, I found out, I mean, Sean came to me right away, but it would have been nice for her to come and talk to me rather than just kind of doing this behind my back. That's kind of underhanded and getting a little sickening.
So,
So, but I'm more than willing to give it up.
Sean, which committees are you attending now as well?
Excuse me?
Are you attending any of the committees as well? Any other committees you're attending?
No other meetings.
Personnel committee, just no conflict with this.
Okay, good.
We're actually changing the meeting,
That's
looking at
correct.
changing the meeting to Mondays.
Good.
So, and that
We
was,
need a vote on that? I don't believe so, do we?
Yeah, you do, you need to make an appointment because it's part of the January appointment, so you just
Okay.
need to make a motion.
And we'll make, do I have a motion to appoint Sean as the Parks and Rec Staff Coordinator?
I will make that motion.
No second.
Lloyd?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries 5-0. Now Sean is on Parks and Rec. June 2nd, 2015 meeting update.
We had the Park and Rec meeting on Tuesday. We originally had a volleyball tournament scheduled for June 14th.
June 11th.
What?
I think it was June 11th, it's a Saturday.
June 13th?
13th.
Thank
You were close.
13th, that's okay. Okay, and there was really no interest, so we're looking at doing a party in the park on July 25th. We'll get the information out, Park and Rec will get that information out on the website. Still working on getting in contact with Minnesota Explorer. Thomas is actually one of our attendees, is looking into getting a response back from them. Wendy's been trying, and they just not responding back to her.
Nicole.
And Nicole also.
Yeah, Nicole at the office tried to. Still
I don't know what the deal is there, they're just not getting back to us, so. They're currently working on the Parks and Trail Master Plan. And I think somewhere on here, we don't normally have a it's hard to get a quorum at the, at this meeting. So I'm the liaison and we're looking to either, Andy, how would this work? I'm the liaison, we can't really vote on anything because we don't have a quorum there. So therefore we can't really get anything done because there's no quorum. I'm the liaison, I can't vote. Jill wants to be a part of Park and Rec. Is there a conflict of interest? How would that work? So that we can make sure that there is a quorum so that they can get their business accomplished.
So she's asking if she can be there just as a park member, can she become a park member? Or will there be a conflict of interest with her, you know?
Well, conservatively, I think there would be a conflict because it's gonna, the recommendation of anything is gonna come back to the council and you'll vote on it again. That'd be a double vote, which, I mean, I assume the votes will be consistent, won't be a big deal, but if at all possible, I would rather see somebody else on there. I just don't want to, I think that's a chance, because if something's ever challenged, then you have a potential conflict there that this person's wearing two hats, someone could say. And, it's hard to think of an example right now, but that's what I'm thinking. I have other communities that I deal with that have the same problem, and they have the same problems you're talking about. They just have to muddle through with it.
Right, okay.
And the Park and Rec, how many people are on there?
Well, we have Brew, Jesse, Kirk, Rob, and Sylvia. But Rob attends maybe once every 6 months. Jesse is possibly leaving.
Can we add for a couple more
We're
members?
looking for more, but it's,
We've been consistently looking for more.
yeah.
We had the same problem on planning and zoning where we didn't have enough members. Is it possible to change those statutes like we did to reduce the members, so then we meet the quorum?
I think we did do that.
Actually, their bylaws say that they can have up to 7 members, so they can have as few as 5, up to 7, and I believe it says, but I believe the bylaws may say a quorum of the membership, so you might have to just change it to a quorum of the members present. I'm not sure how it can.
Is that something you can do?
Quorum of the membership. Well, what is the membership right now?
5.
So your quorum would be 3 people.
Can you,
And we didn't even have 3.
my thought was downsize it to 3 as a board.
Yeah.
We could go to 3 people.
I don't know if that's palatable, but I see anything standing in the way of
Over
that.
there, I guess.
Minimum of 3.
Well, we're gonna drop down to 2.
Right.
That's the problem.
Is
We're
that
gonna drop
Jesse
to 2.
leaves?
Jesse could be gone in August.
One other question, could Sean vote as a member of the committee?
That's another thing that I have not run into at that situation. We have staff member being a voting member. In Wisconsin, that happens. We have a city manager being a planning commission member, but I'd have to look into that maybe in Minnesota. I'm not aware of any time where you can do that. You don't need to have a Parks and Rec commission. I mean, that's another option to abolish that. I know that's not something they probably want to do, but I might have to.
I think it's an important piece of the government, how we provide service to the community. And green space is one of the key pieces that we want to do as our goals, as well as part of the things we hear from the community. So,
One question that I guess, is the junior liaison a voting person? No.
No, they're not 21.
Right.
so it'd be a change to the bylaws of the Parks and Rec Committee to change it to 3 to 5 on the Parks and Rec Committee. And then you could have a quorum of whatever the membership is.
Or you could just change it, I think you could change it to say up to 7 members, and the voting would, the quorum would be of the members present, rather than of the membership.
So then if there's only 2, that'll be fine, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
before only 1 shows up, we could be on this.
because right now they're working on this Parks and Trails master plan, and it can't really go to, to us until they have a quorum to, approve it. So,
I think in the past years, what we found really tough is in the summer. It's hard to get a lot of people there in the summer.
Right.
So maybe if they can muddle through the summer and get into fall. It seems like your membership picks up in things more in the fall when the kids go back to school. And so, I mean, we have it out on the website. I think it's on Facebook. We put it in the newsletters a number of times.
I think to change it to a minimum of 3 would be beneficial.
Yeah.
And then if you have 2 people show up, that is a quorum. If you have a 1-to-1 vote, then That'd be kind of interesting, but
We need to vote on that, Rick, don't you?
So, well, let's do this all at one time, because they want to change the time too. So we can change the bylaws to say minimum of 3 and up to 7?
yes.
And then the other thing you need to change in the bylaws would be the time. So if you want to do all that into one motion, then
Okay.
that way we don't have to do two separate motions, since we just do the bylaw.
Okay.
And we're looking at the time as
5:30.
5:30 on the Monday, first Monday.
any discussion on changing the time to 5:30 on the first Monday?
What's the main reason for changing the time?
Well, because it's easier for city staff to be there, not have such a big stand to go home and come back. Pretty much,
Because that's
right?
also gonna cut down the local people, a lot of people don't get off at 6:30. They want to go down there.
Yeah.
You think over well with the other members?
They're all, yeah, they made the decisions, right? So,
I haven't found one of the current members are okay with it. Other discussion? I make a motion to change the Parks and Rec
Bylaws.
bylaws to reflect a minimum of 3 and up to 7 members, and the meeting be on the first Monday of the month at 5:30.
second.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joan?
Aye.
Joan?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd?
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Another thing I have at Garfield is our refrigerator died. So we have nothing to keep our top of waters and all that kind of stuff cold, and our freezy frozen. So I need to come and ask council, since we have money in the Garfield budget, to get a used refrigerator. What, we have about $1,000, I think? in
Yeah,
the
about
budget.
100.
Yeah, not looking to spend a whole lot, but I do need approval to purchase a refrigerator.
Any discussion on that?
I've got a little bit of discussion. I have an opportunity, would the Harborfield be interested in an upright freezer?
Whatever you got.
I do have an upright freezer that has been given to me that I plan on not using. You
Okay,
can certainly have it.
thank you. We said one. Awesome.
Refrigerator, you're on your own.
That's fine, we'll figure,
What kind of refrigerator you got? They just a regular one?
yeah,
Yeah. I suppose you don't have enough volume for like Coke or Pepsi, furnish a cooler or whatever.
they won't do it. It's hundreds of dollars, I looked into it last year. I'm not willing to spend that,
And
so.
the Minnesota Food Safety requires if you have it just in ice, if you use coolers, you can't have water on it. So it has to be just dry ice, not dry ice, but no water in it.
We used to have actual Pepsi coolers in there,
Yeah, I thought
They
I'd
were
seen
like-
it in there years ago.
1960s probably.
At least.
So yeah, I did look at getting something donated from Pepsi and Coke.
You know how much you want to spend on that?
Well, that's up to council. You know, I'm only looking at under $200, $150. Nothing major, we only use it, 6 weeks out of the year, so.
Maybe we should have it at 250 on it.
Yeah, I can't get much.
You won't get one of this, I think we ought to go to 300.
I had a fridge last summer and it was $500, and that was a pretty basic.
So.
If you get a crappy used one, you're in the same boat a few months down the road. If you get a good used one, then, I would suggest 300. We don't have an extra, I've got some that are in there. In fact, 2 of them that are in there are mine.
So there's something for mine and there's something for a while.
I have bought, when the people across the road from me, when they change out refrigerators, I have to get another refrigerator for the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for donations first, but If not, I need to get something in there, so.
I can certainly see offering up to 300 for refrigerator purchase and do that as a pre-authorization based on what you find on the RC and registry where we go. That good?
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to authorize Parks and Recs to spend up to $300 for a refrigerator based on the findings from Michelle Otto from the Parks and Recs fund.
I'll second.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle? I vote aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
And Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, 1 abstention. Okay, we done the Parks and Recs. Fire Department.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. First item in your packets is the May activity report for your information. If there are any questions as far as that goes, they can be directed towards me or anybody in the fire department. The next item for fire department business is hose purchase. I'm looking for approval to purchase 20 sections of 1.5-inch fire attack hose through MES Fire Equipment Supply at a cost of approximately $2,000. And this hose will be used to replace hose that was manufactured prior to 1987, July of 1987. That stuff will be taken out of service. NFPA 1962 states that you shall not service test those hoses.
You probably have enough for that budget and stuff.
Yes.
Should be.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the purchase of hose?
Make a motion to approve the purchase of hoses at approximately $2,000.
Second.
I'll second.
Michelle? I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
By the vote.
The next item is Grass 13 proposal. Our current Grass 13, which is our 6-wheeler, which we utilize for fighting wildland fires, is a 2004 Polaris Sportsman 6-wheeler. We've been looking into possibly upgrading that. Specifically been looking into purchase a side-by-side, which can be utilized for more than just grass fires. One of my captains, Craig Otto, has been heading the search for our best options and selections and has contacted several different vendors. Through all of that, we've looked at different ones. The utility vehicle that we're looking to purchase is a Polaris Ranger 570 full-size with electronic power steering. The MSRP is right around $13,000. We contacted Mies Outland. Basically, the price of the side-by-side unit is the same throughout all of these different Polaris dealers at this point because of rebates. And the rebates actually get it cheaper than what State Bid has on it for it. The reason why we chose Mies is because they provided us with the best trade-in for our current 6-wheeler. This kind of becomes a safety issue as well. With the new one, there's seat belts on it. We can get 2 people rather than just one. We can't carry 2 people on our current 6-wheeler. Plus, we can use it for events like the 5K when we're doing safety checks and things like that. So I'm looking to purchase that and a 4,500-pound winch, which would be installed on there by firefighters.
Up top on the proposal is the general budget, down at the bottom it says capital account.
We're going to just do it all out of
Do all the
the
general
Yep.
fund. With that as well, Wendy and I did a review of the budget. We added in the high dollar items that come in November, December. And even with those as an estimate taken out of the budget, you're well under your budget with the general fund. In fact, you have $159,000 that's set to play right now for the end of the year with November, December costs taken out of it. So there's plenty of funds available for that in the general fund. Any other discussion?
Did you say the price was again?
The price, out the door for the side-by-side is gonna be $6,800.
60.
Yep, and that's with the trade-in of our current one. They're actually giving us $3,900.
Which is a really good trade.
Yes, we got very lucky on that trade-in, so.
Will they give you two so I can get one?
I doubt
We'll give you a ride along the way. Is there a motion for the grass 13?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a new utility vehicle to replace Grass 13.
Second?
I'll second.
I vote aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Let's trade that baby in.
And then the last item that I have is just an update on the sale of our old fire engine. Probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, I put it on govdeals.com. It's currently on there with an ending date for the auction of June 18th at 10 p.m. I've had 4 bidders on it. It's up to $2,500 right now, so we'll see what it comes to. I do have a reserve on it. Yes, it's the one right out there. So if anybody would like to bid on it, it's on there. I have the reserve set on there, so if anything above that reserve comes in, we have to take it. Anything below it, we have the option to take the highest bidder if we so choose. So, and I'm just gonna kind of wait until the end and make the decision at that point. So I'm just more so looking forward to getting rid of it than having
You
it.
have an offset purchase on that.
Yes, yep, because that'll be some revenue coming in, so it'll help with that cost as well, so. And there is a link to the GovDeals auction on the city's Facebook page and the website, I believe, as well. Unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
And you'll be around for a while then?
Yes.
After the after the meeting?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business. During the open forum last regular council meeting, Sylvie Henry alleged that Wendy Manson lied to her regarding the senior citizens who played cards during the lunch hour at the community center. We reviewed that matter and found the allegations were unfounded. In February, basically this is what happened in February after several requests from Councilmember Otto, Barb Swanson and Wendy Manson contacted Jolene Ziegler, who's the state health inspector, with regard to the luncheons being served here in the community center. And Ziegler advised that Minnesota law requires that a special permit to serve food to the public, which allows only 3 events under that special permit, would have to be taken out. And additionally, since the kitchen is a catering kitchen, meals could not be prepared for the public in that kitchen as it was configured. And the meals would need to be either catered or purchased from commercial vendors, either packaged foods or grocery store foods, or foods from licensed food vendors. A meeting was held at City Hall. Conference with Sylvia Henry, Barb Swanson, Wendy Manson, and Mark Krotzer in attendance. That information was related to Sylvia Henry at that time. Krotzer also asked if the card players could be considered a club. Swanson and Manson called Ziegler to confirm that lunches could be prepared on-site if the group was designated as a club and it was not open to the public. And that was shared with Henry as well. After that, a member of the card playing group came to City Hall and complained because Sylvia Henry told them that the city had shut them down, and he was advised of the options available based on the need to adhere to state law, and the card players were welcome to play cards at the community center as long as it was not rented. However, the card players stated they preferred to play at Delano, but would keep the option in mind. And there was no indication whatsoever in what we reviewed or the email traffic that was there that there was ever any time that Wendy Manson lied about anything. Wendy, have you anything to add?
I do. I didn't appreciate being called a liar at a public meeting by Sylvia Henry, and I would expect a public apology from her.
And I certainly believe that an apology is warranted based on that. Any other discussion?
A little bit. Apparently my name was mentioned in there, so we'll clarify on that. The state was originally called because in a meeting up at City Hall with Barb and Wendy, Barb brought it up that Medina does, I don't even know, maybe 2 years ago, how they run their things and how, the state is involved and the carpeting and the tile and a whole bunch of stuff was brought up. So it was actually under Barb Swanson's recommendation that we check and see how Medina and everybody else runs their community centers. That was not under the recommendation of Councilmember Otto to call the state or anybody else. So we'll clarify that.
Anything other further to add? Moving on. Request for action by Mark Propser. Mark, you've put a request for council action reference to a stop sign
Yes.
on Emerson Avenue North at the intersection of Fairmont Avenue, right there. That would then be a four-way stop, correct?
Yes. Council?
Can you stop 1 second? Anna, can you scroll up to the next page to the map? We're going to go up to the next page to the map.
Yeah, it'll show right where we want the stop sign, or where Mark wants the stop sign.
If you can bring it up a ways. There you go.
There you go.
Keep going a little bit
Little more,
A
right
little more,
there.
little more. There you go. There. Okay, Mark.
From the roundabout on 7th to Mindy, the stop sign on Mindy, it's a half mile. There's actually then, beyond that, it's probably another half mile all the way till you get up to the end, back out to the highway. But when they're coming down the hill in the morning, and the kids are standing there at the bus stop, I should defer to Chris, my neighbor, who's a police officer. He's a better judge at how fast they're going than me, but the speed is excessive. And when I spoke to the parents of the kids, everybody was on board. I only had about an hour to gather names before I had to turn this in and get it on the packet. Otherwise, I could have got the whole neighborhood. So, and council, this came up before in the past council, you'll have to help me out from memory. I don't think we can change the speed limit, but I think we can add stop signs. Yeah. So the speed down the hill, after people come by 5th and they climb the hill and they're coming down the hill towards Fairmont there, the speed is excessive. I would say in excess of 45. I sit there and have coffee in the morning, wait for the kids to get on the bus before I walk my dog, and there's in particular a couple of people that go by very quickly.
Is there any discussion, any objection to putting a stop sign there?
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a fantastic idea, preaching the choir. Okay, we have a motion to put a stop sign where we're indicated here on Emerson Avenue at Fairmont to make it a four-way stop.
I will make a motion to put a stop sign on Emerson Avenue and Fairmont Avenue and four-way.
Second?
I'll say.
Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries 5-0. Sean, how long before we can put the stop sign in there?
I gotta check my inventory, Mr. Mayor. Could be as soon as, I gotta wait 3 days for go for one. So, today's Monday. If I have signs in our inventory, sometime later this week. If not, I'll have to order them.
Thank you. Okay. Let us know on that one, maybe keep Mark up to date on that, as to where we're at with it. I think we've got his email as well, and Mark, can you provide your email?
Certainly.
And then also to our sheriff's department, for deputy, just, you might want to add that on your report as a new stop sign on that, on Emerson.
The excessive speed, Mr. Mayor, is between 6:30 in the morning and 8:30 in the morning.
Okay, so on your first tour of duty, because I'm sure that stop sign will get missed once it's put up.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that people are aware of it, and then that might be a good place to post a vehicle. Okay. Patrol hour change. This came from Greg Finley. Do you know anything about this, Deputy?
No.
Okay.
First time hearing about it tonight.
Let me go through it on the email that you have in your packet. Basically, they're looking on changing the structure. Right now, we have coverage of a car from 10 to 2 daily, and then 6 to 2 a.m. Where we share a car from Montrose Waverly. And the request is to change that dedicated car from 6 to 2 in Montrose, and then share it from 6 until 10 daily. The only problem with that is I see that we lose a significant amount of coverage on that as well. And as I understand it, based on the police reports, we do not have a significant problem with our bar coverage in the evening in our city, whereas Waverly has lots of issues with theirs. So if we have a shared car during that time, we're going to lose it, and it's going to end up covering Waverly much more than it does us. So as far as this change, I would not recommend it. Any other discussion?
My only input would be that if we change it from the 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., we're losing out on a lot of that 3 to 6 time frame when kiddos are coming home from school, are at parks, those types of activities where I feel like we already have issues, and if there's no police presence, we don't have that now.
No, we don't.
Correct, but I feel like if they're proposing a change, now would be the time to put in a recommendation.
But this doesn't help us any as far as any of the coverage we're looking at.
Mr. Mayor, I believe it's my understanding that their proposal is to give us our own car from 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. and there would be another car in Waverly, completely separate from our dedicated car, from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Correct.
So Waverly would be without coverage from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. except for the local area car.
Yeah, but ours would be the first call to that location if anything happens there, because we're the closest car. So if something happens, our car gets pulled from that way, because the policy is closest car rolls. So it doesn't help us in any of our coverage area. And I don't know if we could change it where we need coverage, because our coverage needs our school time in the morning, school time in the evening, and then that late evening coverage as well. Because based on our reports, we don't have much happening any other times during the day.
With this change request, Officer Finley is the one who put this out. Anybody know why he can't be here?
He just sent the email to me on June 3rd. It's all he didn't say anything, he just sent the email. My recommendation would be to get a hold of him. I can send him an email and we meet with him like on a Monday morning or something and ask him why they want to change and what their some other suggestions, because this loses, 6 p.m. till 2 a.m., we lose all daytime coverage. There's an area car, but we lose all our daytime.
I sent Officer Finley an email on June 3rd, and I have not heard from him yet. Or I'm sorry, no, I printed it June 3rd. I sent it back in May 20th. So, and I still have not heard from him. So, hopefully he responds to you quicker than he does to me. Also, with that, the coverage that we have right now, we are not getting a bang for a buck. Just saying. If you want to come up here for one more second. I believe right now when we made this agreement that we originally agreed to pay some $62.50 an hour to law enforcement. Okay, but you are our officer that's here normally, is that right? Okay. And we're now paying you $64.50 an hour. It's in our agreement. So just saying, we have 2,920 hours annually from you guys. But them 2,920 hours that we see, that I personally see, is not sufficient. It's, what I basically see is Wright County sitting out at our new land in the preserves, where we have a lot of vandalism going on here. That was my original email. It's all vandalism and stuff that's going on here right in Montrose. And it'd be changing our hours to get less coverage at $64.50 an hour for you guys to sit outside of town or out of the compost. We've asked for more presence in the neighborhoods, because you can go to the parks and we have kids getting beat up, harassed, and we have Wright County officers will be driving by and looking and continuing to drive on by. We need that presence at our parks, in our neighborhoods, more frequently than what we're getting it for the amount of money that we're paying. We're putting out $15,000 a month right now. And like I said, we're not getting, I believe your contract comes up in 2015. So you might want to talk to Officer Finley about our concerns, because like I say, I sent him an email, and he getting back to me. You see him more frequently than I do. So that's just a suggestion from me. I don't know if anybody else has comments or concerns, but
As far as the times on that, would you get back with Deputy Finley and let him know that we want to set up some time where we can discuss that with him?
I'll send him an email.
You know, shoot him an email, or get a little bit of shift change, whichever.
I can send you one too.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll just touch base on that, because we need to look at where we're at, we need to talk with him, as to why you guys are looking at changing. We need to look at where our coverage needs are and look greater into that, and focus where we need the coverage, as opposed to, you know, how that fits in with your shift changes, how many cars or officers like that. Okay, so, and put you on the spot.
I didn't mean to really do that, but you're just the opposite of it.
No,
Okay, so,
that's fine.
You're the unfortunate middleman.
yeah.
That's fine.
So-
Mark, you have an input?
I would suggest that the council put Officer Finley on the agenda, and because there is even the issue of the last April, when I met with him, he talked about the new reporting system that still is not in play yet. As far as the council goes, I agree.
On that last month with our meeting, and it's not ready to go public yet, that's the issue.
That,
I know, trust me, I know.
very strange.
You know, it's on the way, but it's not quite there, as I understand it. As I understand it, there's officers that have access to that system, but it hasn't gotten to the point where they're using it. Is that correct?
Our new,
The new reporting system?
yeah, we're using it now, but we just got to, we go with
You know,
that.
it's just not ready to go public yet, that's my understanding, at least that's what Joe actually said, sure, actually said. Okay, anything further for our deputy? I recommend that we table this until we can get information of what's dealing with it.
I do think that Finley should be present.
I agree, I think we need to put it on the agenda for the next meeting,
July, when do you want it?
July
If he's
meeting.
available.
Or can we suggest the workshop meeting, the June 29th meeting, so there's two options for it?
Yep, either one. That works well for me.
I will contact you.
Good. Okay, anonymous data request. Any?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, as you know, the city receives requests for data from time to time, possibly more frequent than I know even. I mean, it's just kind of commonplace thing for cities to do. I assume the request form is on your website, Wendy. Is it on the website or is it just at City Hall? Okay, so it's at City Hall, and sometimes we have people who don't have their name and address on there. And that's really important to have because the city is able to make copies of data that's requested, whether it's in paper format, the city could charge 25 cents a sheet for that if they wanted to. Provide electronic copies if that's something that can be provided on CD format, for example, or sometimes the data can be inspected at City Hall for no charge, and then it can't be taken with the person, it's given back to the city. So there's a number of options, but it's all imperative that we know who the requester is to provide copies or contact them instead of time to inspect the data. And if there's something other than a name and address or even a phone number or email or something that the person can't be contacted, even if the city staff maybe know who they are, I've advised them that we need more than that because then we get in the potential problem of someone guessing as to who it is, and then that's not actually the person who requested it, and data has gone out to somebody who hasn't requested it. Of course, it has to be public data anyway. This isn't a private data versus public data issue, but I just wanted to bring that up because we've seen that here and there. So it's no action item or anything. I just wanted to put it on the record.
Can I clarify something on that? So you just asked if the data request is on the website. Is there a form on the website?
I don't believe so. I think they have to come to City Hall or in order to to fail the request.
So in actuality, then it's not really anonymous, is it?
Or is it on the website? I don't know.
I'm not sure. So since we know it's not on the website, I mean,
I'm not positive.
assuming it's right, not on the website, then this person came into City Hall, filled it out, so they're technically not really anonymous. Correct?
Well, unless they do it at the front desk.
Right, but we've handed them the form. I'm just clarifying.
But do they have to write their name and address on that form, or can they remain anonymous?
To get it to them,
The
they have to be a person.
Correct. But if they want to stay anonymous, do they have that option?
They do, but then they wouldn't get the request that they're getting.
Right.
Yes. Correct.
We have to know who's requesting it.
Yes.
Yeah, if somebody comes in to inspect data, for example, and it's an anonymous request, and then a week later someone shows up and said, I'd like to see, this data that was requested, I would advise the staff to say, no, we don't, you can't know that you are the requester, because it was, in the name of somebody else or anything like that. So that's all it was, a reminder. I have your website up here, I guess I don't know whether it's on there or not, but in other cities, it's just on there as a city document that someone can fill out and print in themselves later. So
And it may
maybe
be-
that's something you can do. There's nothing-
Right.
Recheck to make sure it's on there, to make sure it has a name. Yes, Corey?
It's online.
It is?
It's online?
Yeah.
Yes, it's right there.
Okay. And does it have the name
Okay.
and the address on it?
Yep.
Yes, it
That's
does.
a-
Yep, here it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Good?
So it could have been anonymous.
Well, at any rate,
Thanks, Andy.
when it got to Andy, it didn't have a name on it, okay? That's my understanding, and without a name on it, we can't know who to send it to, okay?
Even if you think you know who it is, I just don't want to have a city person get in trouble for presuming something.
It has to have a name on it, so if that person did come in and we know his name, or someone knows his name, we can contact them and make sure they put their name on it, and then we can address the request.
And just to add on to that, you also have your policy online, your data practices policy here. And, the person doesn't need necessarily to give identification or to give reasons, why, that's irrelevant to requesting data. I just guess we just need contact name, just for ease of access for the city to kind of get that information over.
Anything further on that? Council packets.
That's me. I have a request that we get our council packets a little sooner than what we have been, because the last couple of months, we did these council, like last month, we got it on the Friday before the council meeting, and it doesn't give us enough time to look at stuff. There were some surprises on May's council packet that we really can look into, if we get them sooner. Again, and on this council packet, we get them, the Thursday, but it's not giving us enough time to look over everything that needs to be looked at. It's like the Wright County changing of hours. I tried to get together with Waverly, and you have Friday afternoons where everybody closes at 11. Then you have Monday before a meeting. You can't really prepare for it that way. And one more thing is when we put them on, when council gets the council packets, it's out to the public. So if we can just get the council packets on the website also, as soon, because we've had more than one request,
I addressed that. It was just an oversight, because it wasn't put on before they left on Friday. And I addressed that both in email and personally today as well.
Otherwise, the other ones have been out there already on Thursday,
Okay.
with the exception of last
I
month
don't know
because I
what
didn't do it
you're
back.
talking about, right,
I was talking about the one that wasn't put on the website Friday.
but I don't know if we're talking about the same person. So I'm just saying, you had a request, I had a request. Is there a way we can get these council packets before, because when we get them on Thursday afternoons, we only have that 4-hour span to call you guys on Friday to get it, and then we're here for Monday at the meeting. It's not always enough time for everybody to look over everything, go over it, and properly prepare for, like I said, I wanted to talk with Wright County and Waverly about, their concerns. But
A lot of the stuff we don't get until Wednesday,
Right.
Thursday.
In
So they're
regards to
gonna
the policing portion, I'm just writing some, as an example, you didn't get email until July, or June 3rd, which was Wednesday afternoon, you know,
So, yeah, it wouldn't have even made the packet if I'd have done the
Right.
packet earlier.
Right, right.
And our accounts payable, we can't really cut off too early, because if we cut it off already on Monday or Tuesday, we're gonna be missing a lot of accounts payable, so I don't know. Do you know how early they come out, like in other cities?
I think it's similar, I mean, a Thursday or Friday. I have a city that meets on a Monday as well, first Monday, and they have put a very earlier date on it, Wednesday at noon. But I mean, it's been set up like that for years, so you would need transition to do that.
We tell everybody that they have to have stuff to us by Wednesday, but a lot of times I don't get it till Thursday. Like this Thursday, this past week, I had it Thursday, like by 11:30 or 11:45, and I emailed it out.
Right.
The month before, I know it didn't go out till Friday, because Sean and I were working on stuff, and we finished up like 5 o'clock on Thursday afternoon.
Right, and if.
So we weren't able to get it out till Friday, but otherwise, it's usually out Thursday, like shortly after lunch.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if we would have gotten that council packet last month before the Thursday, I don't think we would have been in the situation that happened. Some of the stuff that went on, you know, because we would have known about it beforehand.
They're generally done by Thursday, early Thursday afternoon, noon Thursday. Like I said, last month in May was an exception. I didn't get out till Friday because him and I were working on stuff till Thursday.
And then we'll make sure that it's also available in the public.
And it has been on the website. We went back and looked, and it's been on the website on Thursday every month, with the exception of this last month. It was overlooked. Otherwise, it was put out there on Thursday or at the very latest Friday morning. Because we went back and looked on the website at the times it was posted out there.
So when our council packets come out, we can just automatically put them on the website as well on Thursdays? Thank you.
Okay, the town hall meeting. Town hall meeting was originally scheduled for the 22nd. That conflicts with the Parks volunteer meeting that's also on the 22nd. We'd like to move the town hall meeting to July 27th. And that will be a focus on Parks and Recreation. So it would be helpful to have Parks and Rec people there as well. We want to talk about what we're doing on the parks, where we're going, get some input for the new plan, Parks and Rec's comprehensive plan as well, and get some of that to the public. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and be able to talk through that. And also we'll have Sean as well attend that, because we want to talk through a little bit more about the regional park and where we're going with that, and what that's going to look like with all the changes. There's been some significant changes in the regional park that the city put a lot of hours in down there, and a lot of volunteer hours as well, to get that ready for our soccer and our ice skating rinks. So, yes.
Can we possibly look at something besides a Monday, because that also conflicts with the Lions that are in here?
No, that's the fourth Monday.
Oh, that's our
They meet
council
the
meeting.
third, yeah.
Okay, because it was showing this one. Okay.
So July 27th, is any other discussion on that date? That work for you, Bruce, as well? Okay. Okay, so we'll change that to July 27th for the special town meeting, and that'll free up our volunteers to go to the Parks and Rec meeting. That's a good thing. One more thing that I've got, Jill, this is the packet that I had for the labor employee training. I said I would get you that packet. Very interesting training, some good things coming out of that. There's also some new laws that are going into effect with Minnesota. So I've talked with both Andy and Mike to go ahead and get us some training, maybe a 4-hour session when we can come together and well, yeah. And talk about open meeting law, talk about Data Privacy Act, also talk about the new union laws that are coming up, which are significant. So we need to address those and be ready to deal with that once that comes on board.
Do we know
So
the
it's-
cost of that, Andy?
Andy, can you give us a proposal on the cost for that seminar?
Oh, well, because I might think about that a little bit, but in our contract, when we represented, or when you adopt that, and also at the interview we were at, we pretty much stated that one of the things that we do is also provide various trainings when it's required, and I think it's required once a year at a minimum for legal issues. So that's something that I think we could just fold into, what we do each month and really not induce a new charge on that, because I have materials that I can pull from other presentations.
Or we might be able to do a couple of sessions before the council meeting or something of that nature,
Yeah.
or to do it up front.
And so I'll talk to Mike when he gets back, and I'll talk to Wendy for a good time, and whoever else wants to chime in, I'll make sure Mike can come too. And so
Any council member can go.
Yeah, I think it needs to be with all council members. It's important that we get up to speed on those laws as they're changing, because they have financial implication for the city if we're not abiding by it. And if they could be significant. Okay, let's see here. The objective rankings that were supposed to be due by the 8th. I have those in electronic format. If that works for everybody, I can send it back out to you. I'd like to have those back by, what is it, July 15th? No, June 15th.
June 29th.
No, our next meeting is June 29th, but I need to compile them, so we
Our
can review
personnel-
those. The personnel committee meeting is June 15th. So if you guys can have those to me by June
8th.
yeah, yesterday, today. Let's do Friday end of the week. Does the 12th work for everyone for that? Get them to me, and I'll email them out. Give them to Wendy in electronic format. You can email them out to everybody, and you can shoot them back to me, and that way I can compile all that data. We'll have time to take a look at them in our personnel committee meeting, and then be able to present on June 29th at the workshop. Does that work for everybody? So I'll email those to Wendy, and Wendy, you can shoot them to everybody else. I have the ones from Wendy, Sean, and myself, the ones that I've received.
I've got one here too.
Okay, you got yours, good, fantastic, you did that to me, that's great. The more I can get done now, the better off we are. I know it said the 29th, it's a typo, it's not supposed to. So, I'll send you guys an email for them.
What time is the workshop at 49? Sorry. 7? 6? I have 7. You have 7? That's better than mine.
Yeah, 7 p.m.
Are you meeting here at City Hall?
Should be here.
I was thinking, I thought that was City Hall.
What's on the agenda?
But in case anybody, wants to come and still cover over there, if this is open, I just,
Discussion on that, the rankings, and will there not be discussion on the job descriptions?
Yes,
And
yes,
Okay.
And
So I would
eventually
suggest
the
here-
inclusion of that.
yes.
Okay, so I would suggest him.
have it here.
Wendy, would you look at that, make sure we have no conflicts on it?
Yeah, I believe it's open.
Good. There was also a request to move the personnel meeting to 3 p.m., at least for the summer. And I understand that's not a conflict with anyone. Does that work for you guys, 3 p.m. on the third Monday,
Would that be including the next week's?
including the 15th? Yeah.
Starting on Monday.
Sean? That works?
And one thing on the personnel committee, we cannot have other members of the committee attend that because there are personnel matters that are discussed there, so we cannot make it an open forum meeting, an open meeting. Therefore, we can only have 2 members of council present.
Isn't it open to the public?
No, it is not. Personnel meeting is not open to the public.
It's always been open to the public. At least that's how it was when
Not if-
other council members were involved.
Not if you're discussing personnel issues. And I've had that conversation with both Mike and Andy. If you're discussing personnel issues, you cannot have it open in public.
Yeah, and I guess the demarcation line is because the personnel committee meeting right now has 2 council members on there and that's for purpose because of the quorum issue. Anytime you know you're going to have a quorum of council there, it's got to be public, noticed as a public meeting. it certainly could be closed to discuss various personnel matters, discipline, attorney-client privilege, as we've been doing at your regular council meetings. But other parts of that would need to be open, and then we would need to make sure we do the, the magic language to close the meeting, turn off the tape, etc. So that's something you can do as a decision to have, basically kind of a quasi-council meeting. It's open to the public, anyone can walk in. But as a policy matter, you may not want to do that. And if you know that you continue to have a quorum show up, then that's when you need to start posting as a public meeting. So that's sort of the option A and option B for you.
Like Parks and Rec, we have the volunteers account where we have a quorum there. We need to post that as an open meeting. Planning and zoning would be the same way. We need to post an open meeting. That's typically an open meeting anyway. But the personnel committee, the majority of the information that's discussed there is considered personal data. And would not be available for publication. So that's the concern there, is that it is not a meeting that lends itself well to being an open meeting, because we have to close and open, close and open.
Right. As a former personnel committee member, we never had a problem with anybody really coming in because we believe in the transparency that should be going on. But if you've seen it otherwise, that's fine too.
I'm just looking at adherence to the law, is what I'm looking at.
Right, and normally, like when Mark and I were personnel committee, we would have, different members of the council that would come and they would just sit there and not participate, and then that's usually what it is.
It was previous council's suggestion that we do it that way.
Right. And, and we were totally open to that as long as that they did not participate. But,
But open
like I
meeting
said,
law,
if that's what you,
open
fine.
meeting law states that if you have a quorum,
then
it
post
has
it.
to be posted as an open meeting.
As a possibility, there could be a forum of council.
Then if there's anyone else who is going to attend the personnel meeting, we have to know up front within 3 days prior that you will be there so we can post it.
Okay, you can post it.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm
Sure,
probably there.
you can post
Okay?
it.
And then it will be opened and closed whenever we have personnel issues.
If you are discussing, let me think about how to phrase this. If you're discussing private data in an open meeting, that data still remains private. It's a little bit counterintuitive. So then if somebody comes up later, whoever, council member, public member, whoever, and says, I want a copy of whatever data you had or something like that, that can still be denied as it's private data, despite the fact that you discussed it in an open meeting. That's kind of the work. So you do have that at least to fall back on, even though it's a little bit counterintuitive because you have an agenda that's an open meeting. So I would suggest, I don't know what was done in previous years, if it was it posted as a meeting that was public?
No,
No,
it was not.
they showed up
Okay.
and we didn't know they were going to show up, so it was not posted. And I guess in years past, personnel meetings have never been an entire council, it's always just been 1 or 2 council members. That was the purpose of having a personnel meeting.
Right.
Otherwise, you might as well just have a council meeting.
But the purpose of having a personnel meeting was to not just have it with the mayor.
Right. Because see, sometimes the things that are discussed at personnel meetings need to be addressed. It's discussed, at least when we used to do it, we would discuss the personnel stuff and immediately it went to council. Barb would send out an email or Barb wasn't there, Wendy would send out an email, and that's not really happening right now.
We already
I think
addressed
that was
that.
addressed, yeah.
We already
It
addressed
was.
that last council meeting.
Right,
got
and
the
so
draft
then,
minutes.
And
then what
you got the
happened?
draft minutes from it, right?
we did at the council meeting. But see, we used
We
to,
addressed that you would get an email with the draft minutes.
And I did.
you didn't address that, we addressed that a year and a half ago because it was addressed by council members that they wanted to be updated, which was all well and good, and we also said that, hey, if you want to come into the meeting, come on into the meeting, you're just not allowed to talk at the meeting. It's up to the 2 personnel committee meetings and the staff that attends, but hey, anybody's welcome to come in because whatever, yes, there could be some personal issues that are discussed, but pretty much whatever's open to the discussed, to me, should be out. It's not, I understand
And
that not
I
everything.
discussed that premise
Right.
with our legal team to make sure that we were abiding by the open meeting law. And that's when they told us that that's not an appropriate measure to take based on the open meeting law. That based on the fact that you have a quorum there, it has to be a posted meeting, period.
Okay. So
That's
then
the
I-
state law.
Then I will request that we post the meeting because I'm thinking that there might be a member of the council, a quorum of the council. To post the meeting.
We'll do that before every meeting, because I'll probably get it something.
Okay, and then what will happen is, if that's the case, then we will close that meeting for discussions. Joe, what are your thoughts on that?
If that's what they wanted, that's fine. I know there was issues as far as the minutes go getting out to people. There was also concerns over the date and time of the meeting and the fact that it was the morning of city council and it didn't give
Change that.
the other council members enough time to review the data. So we adjusted it to the week after the council meeting, so they have a solid 3 weeks to review the minutes that will be sent out, which was also discussed. So I don't understand.
My only conflict is if because if another member would have been at one of the personnel committee meetings, the stuff that got put on the agenda at last month's meeting, the hiring within, the promotions and all that kind of stuff, we would have known about that before the Friday before the council meeting, which was putting us on the spot, going, oh my, you needed to do this, this, and this, but
The meetings prior to this meeting now were posted in public, and you guys could have attended,
right,
but you didn't.
correct.
So even if, so that doesn't solve the last month's issue, because you guys,
That's-
you could have attended.
That's why we are attending now. Not that I'm going to attend every meeting, because I will right now, but, and, I mean, we put you guys in the position, you know, we voted to put you guys in that position, but it seems like the last 2 meetings, like I said, I mean, if I go, it's either way.
So you go and you were gonna make it all perfect.
No, I'm just saying, if, you know, no, I mean, I'm saying if I go, it doesn't make a difference to me whether I'm there or not. I do know that Lloyd is gonna want to attend the meetings, that's why I'm addressing this. But if we would have known beforehand that you guys were putting the stuff that was discussed at the council meeting, or your personnel meeting, that you were gonna do what you did, I don't think a lot of things would have been. But anyways, the bottom line is just post it, I'm
Just
pretty
post
sure
it.
Lloyd will be there.
3 o'clock on Mondays.
And the one thing that I will state is I won't put up with a free-for-all when we're dealing with that. Because personnel meetings have
There won't
been
be
productive.
no.
Personal meetings have been productive, and if it changes to where it's not productive, then it's not gonna work that way.
The count.
I don't know why, I don't know why it would change, everything would be the same.
They just sit there.
They don't have to vote.
Correct. They don't really give an input, they're just there. So, like I said, we didn't have a problem with it before, and I know it's the law or whatever, so that's fine too.
Pat, discussion?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit murky because if you go to a social gathering, like a parade, or something like that, I mean, yeah, quorum of the council might be there for a community event. You don't have to necessarily host a community event saying quorum of the council is going to be there. 'Cause it's more of a chance meeting, social gathering. If you meet in if you all ran into each other in a gas station, you can't guess that. But here it's a little bit, we're knowing that there's going to be something coming up. Maybe I'm being a little conservative with it, but I'm kind of doing that on purpose just to say, I don't want to get any blowback coming later that there was a closed meeting for, members attending a personnel committee meeting. This just covers you for that. You can't make any binding decision that's going to bind the full council at the personnel committee meeting level anyway. So everyone knows that there's no danger of doing that.
How about maybe then if the agenda is sent out before the meeting? Would that be sufficient? Okay.
Can that be done in time? Enough time to
We talked
post?
about the agenda today.
So, I got my, he's okay.
We get it like the week before. Not the
Well, I
morning, not
mean,
the
if we
morning.
do it on Monday, send it on a Thursday like they were council packet. Is that fair?
Doable, Wendy? Okay, anything further?
Yes, I've got something was brought up to me by a couple of concerned citizens too. It includes the mayor and all of us council members. That when you get an email from a citizen, you should have the respect to reply, whether you call or whatever, whether you agree with whatever was said or not. You should have the courtesy to return the email or the call. I heard that this is not being done.
Any specific incident in reference to that?
No, I'm not gonna mention any names or anything.
Well, we
Mr.
don't
Mayor, I'll
know,
mention-
know what we're talking about.
I'll mention, I sent everybody an email, and I didn't get a response from any of you. No, I didn't get a phone call from you, I called you, and I had to reach out and make phone calls,
Yeah,
but it
we
lasted
talked.
for 5 days, and I called you.
Yep, you told me.
I called every single, other than Michelle, and you stopped by my house, so. But I took the time and effort.
Yep. And I appreciate it. In fact, we were working on an issue in reference to that as well, that Sean's been working on some issues to bring that to light for the personnel committee.
Well, I
But I
guess,
think that's what was brought up was,
I guess my input there is that I took it more as a, for your information, like, here's my feelings. I guess I didn't feel a response was necessary. There wasn't necessarily a question.
yeah, I just left it on there, research it for yourself, let me know if you have any questions.
Right.
Just a simple reply that,
If
a
you-
receipt, hey, I received this, or something to that effect.
Sure.
Would be all with that, so. Thank you.
Actually, we took that to heart and then looked at it closely, and that's what Sean's put together, is a piece in reference to that. Where we're at.
One other thing, at City Hall too, people call in and they want Melissa's telephone number, or whatever, that should be available at City Hall too, if people want to call in there. Either your email or your phone call.
All the city emails are available, your name at Montrose, Minnesota website. We do not give out personal emails. If we give out your personal email, that makes it public. And now your personal email is
Okay,
public.
well, we
So
can
they
have
need
the
to
phone
give us,
numbers there though.
then you need to give us your phone number that you want us to be able to give out. Because we will not give out,
Absolutely.
if I don't have Melissa's home phone number, I'm not giving out her work phone number.
Right.
So you need to
No,
then,
that's
you
right.
need to provide me then with your phone number that you want given out.
And all the emails are available on the website.
All the emails are at the city email. If you want to use your personal one, now that makes your personal email public and anybody can look at it. And that means
all of your
everything.
personal emails.
That means everything on your personal email, not just the
So-
comment.
If anybody emails me, I'm sending them back over, asking them to send to email my Minnesota email address, my montrose-mn.com email address, so that becomes public data and not
So-
my personal email.
So then we will take care of it.
If you give me an email or a phone number that you want me to use, but I won't give out, if somebody calls and says, I have Melissa's phone number, if I don't have her home number, I won't give out her work number. I just
No,
tell
we
them.
don't
not-
expect, I don't think anybody expects to interfere with your work.
Yeah,
No.
but, so we just
But
give
because
them.
if you have a phone number, you want to have posted
You
on
leave
the
a
web.
voicemail, you can call that person back
Yep,
at 5 o'clock or whatever.
You can put my cell phone number on there, that's fine,
I think yours is.
I believe so.
And then you can put my phone number.
I believe we have that.
Any other reason?
In reference
Who
to,
else did, Jill, you want to put yours up there too?
I'll think about it. My email's out there. You can contact me through email.
Yeah.
I don't need phone calls at, 5 a.m. because they're up, so.
you have my number, I believe that. But in regards to you talking about that and Chris getting up and talking, the email that he did send out, did anybody look into that? And it wasn't with his request for us to.
Yes, we did.
Did you?
Yes.
And I'm just, asking because,
Absolutely, we took it to heart, and I think, Sean, how many hours have you got on that project?
yeah, I know Sean was doing it. I'm asking if
Pardon?
the council is not.
5 or 6 hours, yeah.
Okay. I know Sean is working on it and he's probably doing a great job on
Absolutely, we took it
it.
to heart and say, okay, let's review where we're at, what the responsibilities are, what the job duties are, and that kind of stuff. So he's looked into it in depth.
I have also looked into it. I'm
Thank
still
you.
gathering data, so I've gotten, I've pulled up our specific org chart. I've looked into org charts of other surrounding communities. It's a fairly large gathering pool. That, I can't remember, right, so it's a process, but I haven't been investigating.
Like I said, I know Sean is looking into it, but I think I'm asking as a council, are we looking into it? Have each of us picked up the phone and called these things that Chris is referring to?
What is the issue, since it came to you on the public email?
It came to our city emails a
Yes,
month
which is
ago.
public information, what is the topic?
The topic is public work employees.
Okay.
And checking surrounding towns, comparing the staffing levels of how many public works employees, how many part-time employees, how many people are brought in for mowing, how many parks, what's population. just different data. Is there water treatment plants? Is there pond plant, sewer plants? You know, in comparison.
Parks departments versus just public works departments.
Yeah, so. And,
And
So
with
if we're all in
respect,
agreement
with respect to
with that,
public
that's fine.
emails, you might want to start using,
that was my city email.
typically you don't.
How do you know what's on in my house?
I know typically you don't
Do
use
you want to come
public
check one?
email.
Do you want to come
You
look at
use
mine?
your Mickey email.
Do you want to come look at my
Use your
email?
Mickey email. I know it for a fact, because I've seen them come back to me after you send emails on your private ones, okay?
I'll
When they do
I'll
it for
read.
discussion. So, it's supposed to be public.
You got something, Ben?
I'll second that you use your Mickey one.
I'm not saying I haven't, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you ain't gonna tell me what I'm gonna use or what I'm not gonna use. You know, if I have a personal email regarding personal information,
If it's personal email, that's personal, but if it's
Right.
a city business, it needs to be on a city email,
thank you.
okay?
I'll do whatever you request, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
That's okay.
I thought so.
Okay,
You know,
just saying.
about that debt.
Okay, just saying.
Go on. You know, it's a legal issue.
Well,
Anything else for the good of the city?
For the good of the city, let's not bring up personal information and use the city, council meetings as personal stuff either.
And what are you referring to?
I moved to acknowledgements now.
No, what are
No,
you
no, no.
referring to? You made an allegation, what are you referring to?
The mayor's.
Stand up and on your own feet, tell me what you think.
The mayor's reports and findings, I do not think that should have been brought up at the council level. If you have, like Wendy, I do apologize to Wendy for not getting back to her on that, that was mine. The fire department, if you hear rumors amongst anybody, you know, if you hear a rumor that I'm at a fire department in Loretto, which I have clarification from the Loretto fire chief that nobody from the city of Montrose council members were at the fire department meeting, just clarifying that on record. But if we hear rumors, we don't need to bring it to a council level. I don't think so.
It came to me in the fire department meeting, and it was addressed that
And I'm
two
talking
people
about
from the
rumors.
council attended it. And that was the matter to say, did we do that?
Okay.
Okay?
Now,
And that door swings both ways. Now, second issue, with respect to my statement.
Yes.
That is an issue that has defamatory remarks in regard to the position I hold as mayor. And it does impact the city. And I talked to both our legal team members in reference to that before I made it public here in this forum. And that was the reason it was public here, because it does impact the city based on my position. So I did get legal guidance in reference to doing it, and just because you didn't know about everything that was going to be said,
I
and you were pissed
also-
off because of it,
No.
doesn't mean that it's going to be that way for you.
I also referred to our legal counsel earlier and said, do we really need to bring this up? And he agreed that it may not be the best place, but it's understandable. So I just bring it to the person who started the rumor, because this town is so award, you know, and just bring it to them is all I'm asking.
Trust me, I did. They got a registered letter today.
And one other thing you brought up was about the cart lane and so forth.
That's right.
Why was that brought up?
Because we had an allegation that one of our staff members lied to a city resident, and it was unfounded.
In last
And
month's
in the last
council
month's meeting, you were here for
Sylvia
it.
stood up.
And it's inappropriate that we have someone call one of our staff members a liar in the open meeting, and we don't address it. Especially.
Pardon me, Wendy Manson does lie. I'm willing to get up there and give you some examples.
I won't have that either.
Okay.
If you've got proof, then by gosh, give us proof, but don't give me this.
Last year she plays video games at
You're out of
work.
order. Okay, and that's the reason it was addressed, because it's a personal slight to one of our staff members.
This is why I'm asking it doesn't come to council level, because it wasn't fair to Wendy to put her on the spot like that. It's not fair now to be doing it again. So it doesn't,
Excuse me, just,
Yeah, we do.
Wendy, did I speak with you in reference to what we're going to talk about today? Were you in favor of this being presented today?
Yes, I was.
Did you have any issues with me presenting what I presented?
No, I did not.
Did we review the information that was in the file and the emails and what have you, the facts of the matter?
Yes, we did.
That's it.
is there an email from me
How many times did Councilmember Michelle Otto request that we look into that?
Is there?
You told me there were
is there-
several times she
is
insisted
there
we
an
look
email?
into it.
I mean, I don't, if there is,
Is there any,
me requesting you or Barb to go talk to Joanne, is there emails, is there,
to Jolene?
well, yeah.
No, this started back in June of.
So there is no
2013.
fax.
There's no email, but you remember you came in my office a number of different times and asked me if I called the state of Minnesota. And I said, not yet. Those days are over.
Okay, so there's nothing there, so your facts and findings are not facts.
The facts and findings are facts.
There's no
And
facts
I
that I
provide
put
you
in
until
there.
that it's any different.
I can disagree with a lot of that.
Thank you. Moving on to acknowledgements, if we could, please.
Acknowledgements. For the planting on Highway 12, Ellen Soames, Paula Thompson, Roy and Sylvie Henry, for putting plants in that we had from the city. Fantastic.
Do we have, their little sign up, Paula, document?
Already yesterday.
Okay.
What's that, the next one? Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to appreciate the turnout tonight. Wish we would have this every council. Thank you guys for showing up.
For the fire department, Wayne Fire of Buffalo, for the donation of hand tools, we looked at those at the last firefighter meeting. And also, a bait team dropped by during the meeting and donated the Buddy Bears as well. How many Buddy Bears did we get?
I think we got right around 30.
And
Did we get David and Christina comments for adopting my parties?
no.
I have a question for Sean. Sean, is it the new guys taking care of Carver Field right now? Our part-time seasonal?
Taking care of all the parks.
Okay, I just want to acknowledge that it looks pretty awesome. It's been so for a long time. We get a lot of compliments on it. So if you want to thank the guys for that.
Well,
I'd also like to recognize A&A Construction, specifically Al Jordan, who donated all their time and one of his employees' time to put in the 3 slabs for the benches along the Montrose Buffalo Trail. So fantastic. Without him, it would have probably been another 100 hours of manual labor to do that. And also received a letter from the Girl Scouts of River Valleys as a thank you, and I appreciate them sending out the letter. Anything else? Thank you for the donation.
I'd like to thank Sean for stepping up for the Park and Rec staff coordinator and Wendy for your previous tenure on that.
And I'd like to thank Pat Food for all his work as a volunteer with the parks. I know he's got hundreds of hours down there where he's been stepping up to help with the parks and rec. So please pass that on to him, Kurt. Anything further? That'd be great. Second?
I'll second.
Melissa?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. Please stand adjourned.